Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Hey, happy Thursday afternoon. I am excited to be here. Yes, it's Robert W. Jones. Don't forget the W. You know, I like to say it's for wow, but it's actually for my middle name, Wesley. Wesley Jones. It was my grandfather's name on my dad's side. Just want to talk about what's going on in the community. I want to remind everyone that our forthcoming book, and I'm saying it right here, our #1 international best-selling book series, and our next book is coming out, 365 Days of Gratitude Quotes. You can get more information by going to 365daysofgratitudequotes.com. We have a special still. It's going to be ending because May 1st is coming right up, but we have a special BOGO offer. I love the word BOGO, such a cool word. It's buy one, get one for $249. Normally these pages are $550 each, but for $249 as an early bird special, buy one page, get another page in the book free. That's an $1,100 value for $249. Buy one for yourself. Buy one for a family member, a friend. A business indeed is a business indeed. You know, get it for them. But we have a great BOGO offer. 2 pages for $249. You can pick any date in the book left that we have open. So please take advantage of that. Again, you can go to 365 Days of Gratitudequotes.com. Also, please, if you have the opportunity to, please go to Facebook /iNetrepreneur Radio. Again, that's facebook.com /iNetrepreneur Radio. Please like us on Facebook. Give us a shout out there. Leave your breadcrumb for the world to see. We have a few thousand people that watch this show each and every week, and we want to make sure that they see you. You know, what is that saying? It's not who you know, it's who knows you. So get out there and get known. Also, youtube.com. That's youtube.com /iNetrepreneur Radio. Again, youtube.com. Subscribe there and, you know, reach out the same way. You know, leave your breadcrumb and let other people know you. We also have a couple of wonderful magazines that I want to talk about. We're going to be coming out with our next issue for the iNetrepreneur Network magazine. We just had Angel Marie Monticelli. She was our cover featured person. And we also have the Contemporary Woman magazine, 2 wonderful magazines that reached the entrepreneur office and women entrepreneurs specifically with the Contemporary Woman, the contemporarywoman.com, where you can get more information on that. And please don't forget to go to the NT events. That's ntevents.net, where you can find all of our chapter meetings, our academy classes, our pop-up events, our summits. We also have this Ultrapreneur Revolution. It's a 2-day event in person in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix at the Holiday Inn. Get some more information by going to ntevents.net. We're looking for a few vendors. We have some vendor places opening. Our last in-person event had about 400 people. So, you know, what a place to go to get known and to get shown. So I am really excited with my 2 guests today. So I'm going to bring on my first guest. I'm just going to take away this banner and bring on the illustrious, the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Tyler Cook. How are you doing, Tyler?
Great. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm glad you're here on the show today. Great is great, right?
Great is great.
It beats the other option, right, of like crap, you know, so I love great. So, you know, everyone, I'm with Tyler Cook. He's an experienced email marketing expert and owner of Hyper Media. I like that Hyper Media, right? Hyper Media Marketing. You can reach him at Tyler at hypermediamarketing.net. That's Tyler at hypermediamarketing.net, or call him at 512-5728. 435. Wait, is that San Francisco?
It's Utah, northern
Utah. Okay, Utah. Okay, 425 might be San Francisco. So are you telling me you came down from Utah, or you know, how did that transpire really quickly?
Yeah, I grew up in northern Utah and kind of just got sick of the cold, so wanted a little warmer weather. So now we're down in the Mesa, Arizona area.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I've heard a lot of people talk about cold areas. I have to say, I've never had anyone say that Utah was cold. Maine, Minnesota, Montana, Idaho. So there's cold areas in Utah.
Yeah, so I actually lived about 45 minutes away from an area called Peter Sinks, which is the coldest place in the mainland United States. They actually just broke a record this last winter for like the coldest temperatures ever recorded. So it gets a
I
little
would have.
cold. It's a little
Yeah,
chilly.
no, I mean, I would have never guessed it. See, this is you learn the best stuff on this show. I mean, you really do, right? You always learn the best stuff just by asking questions. So, well, welcome to Arizona. We're glad you're here. You were an expert on one of our panels at the women's event that we had last month, and I mean, we thought we were going to have 60 people there. We ended up through the day having 90 people, standing room only at times at that event, and you were there, and I'm glad you were. I mean, you're amazing. So, I'm going to get straight to it, Tyler. I mean, one of the things that seems to be getting, hit after hit after hit is email marketing. I feel like it's sometimes the most underappreciated tool a business owner or an entrepreneur can use, but, so many people, I think they just don't have an understanding of how powerful it is. They think the gold is in text messaging. They think the gold is in social media. They think the gold, is in, being found in Google. And although I think those places matter quite a bit, I think that email marketing, and really email connecting and follow up is still where it's at, don't you?
Yeah, it was funny. I was actually just having a conversation just like this recently, where one of the reasons why I personally love email marketing is all roads kind of end with an email, if you will, right? So when you're purchasing a product from an e-commerce store, or if you're purchasing a service, what's the one piece outside of like address and stuff like that? What's the one piece of contact information that you're always asked for? It's your email, right?
Right.
And so it is, like you said, it's a channel to take seriously, because all roads, regardless if you've grown your business through social media, through cold calling, things like that, everything kind of ends in email, and so it's an important channel to take seriously.
But like, the other thing about email, which can be really compelling, especially it's everything doesn't have to be a call to action in email. And I think that that's what I always, go to this event or buy my product, or, let's annoy this person one more time because we sent him 3 emails today, or hurry, 3 emails today. I mean, when you're thinking about it, you can send a survey out in the email. You can attach like an ebook to an email. You can follow up, with a flyer or some great content or other information, right, in an email. You could say, yeah, I'm sending out an invoice, or I'm sending out a special. I mean, there's so many uses for email that no other, I think, channel offers. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, email can be very, very versatile in terms of, one, what information are you communicating out, and then two, like how you're also communicating it to that person. And so it's you can vary different things. And one of my favorite strategies, if we can dive into a strategy real
Yeah.
quick. One of the most often questions or one of the most often asked questions that I get is, how often should I be emailing my list? And to be honest, most brands should be emailing about 2 to 3 times per week. Now, the challenge with a lot of email programs is every email has exactly what you said. There's a call to action. Every email is kind of a
Right.
thinly veiled sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
And you burn out your audience that way. And so one of the strategies that I implement at my agency is, if you join 3, 4, or 5 fairly high quality Facebook groups that your audience is active in, all you need to do is go in and actually scrape out some common questions that are getting asked, and then just copy and paste that question in an email, answer it, give a little bit of insight, and email that out to your list. And you'll actually see a lot of your credibility and engagement kind of skyrocket, to be honest.
So kind of in a way, you're going out there, and affectionately speaking, I'm only saying affectionately speaking, you're kind of trolling for pain points, and you're using people's pain points potentially in Facebook, and you're just answering, what their pain is, without selling them. You're really just building audience through content, right?
Correct. Yep, 100%.
And so once you start building up that content, I mean, you said 2 to 3 emails per week. I mean, somewhere in there I have to have some type of call per action. How often do you think, a call per action, works for most, small businesses or entrepreneurs?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think that it also kind of depends on the type of call to action, right?
Mhm.
So in those emails that I was just referencing, where we're really just trying to build credibility, build relevance, answer those questions, I do leave a call to action in those emails, but the call to action is very simple. It's, if you've got a question that you want me to answer about this topic, hit reply, right?
Mhm.
And so it's a very soft call to action. It's not in your face. It's, hey, if you've liked the previous emails and you've got a question, just let me know and I'll answer this. Right.
Yeah.
And you can do that very, very often. Now, when it comes to sales emails, right, when it comes to sales call to actions, those you do want to either compress if you're going through a launch, right? If you have an event that's coming up, or you have some sort of like automated funnel, evergreen webinar type thing, you can usually compress those call to actions, 5 days, 3 days, 7 days, all back to back, and then have a cool off period, a cool down period, where you back off the kind of more aggressive, if you will, call to actions.
Right, right. And it's really interesting because so much of the time, I mean, Tyler, this is the craziest thing. We had a meeting with all our leaders, leadership in the Entrepreneur Network earlier today, and one of the things that Warren Buffett has stated for the longest time is when it comes to the valuation. I mean, this is good for everyone. The valuation of the company says the most understood evaluation of a company is, does that company provide customer experience? Because experience is what keeps people going back. It takes a lot less effort serving the customers that you already have than reaching for new customers and looking for new customers, right? And looking for new customers. You know, Aside from promoting, what you have to offer, how important is email marketing in the follow-up to the very customers that you have?
It's crucial. If you've been on any social media platform for longer than 2 seconds, I would argue that you've seen the advice of building an audience is like a superpower, right? If you can
Mhm.
get people to follow you not only on social media, but kind of develop a brand affinity to you, it really is kind of a business hack shortcut to where now you can launch new things, you can affiliate with other companies, and your followers will purchase that, right?
Right.
Now, how does that kind of play into the customer experience? Well, one of the biggest complaints that I find oftentimes for Facebook groups, for LinkedIn groups, even like communities that are built on Circle or Mighty Networks, places like that, is that your reach kind of is terrible, right? Like nobody's seeing your content, and it's hard to find content that you're looking for. And so, email, you have direct access to people. You have direct access to their attention, and so you can leverage that to really build up that one-to-one relationship. Even though you might be sending out mass emails, it's still, you can really still leverage that one-to-one relationship for better branding and also
Mhm.
for a great customer experience.
Yeah. And speaking of customers experience, customers, clients, members, right? Whatever they're termed. You know, One of the things that people ask me a lot, and I want to ask you this because they're always asking me this. They're like, what's the most important thing of the email? Is it the irresistible offer? Is it the subject line? Is it the the content that may be provided? Is it the email address on where it's coming from? Is it the timing of it? Is it the I'm like, okay, Calgon, take me away. I mean, it's like, geez, they're all good questions, and maybe in different ways they all matter, but I'm sure there's probably an element of the email that matters most, and if there's not, let me know. What is your opinion about when it comes to email marketing? What's that critical piece or component of email marketing that makes it successful or not successful?
Yeah. Can I answer that question in two ways?
No, absolutely, because I myself want to know that answer, because I feel like, well, have you ever heard of the chicken and the egg? So at any rate, I would love to get your answer on this.
So, there's kind of two answers to that question. So the first half of that answer is really, for somebody to take advantage of the email, you need them to open it up first, right? They need to be able to consume the information that is in there. And so the actual number one most important piece of the email is actually your sender name. You'll find a lot of content online that says optimize your subject lines, which you should. I'm not saying that you don't test different subject lines, but if you think about your own user behavior when you first log into your email platform at the very beginning of the day, and you look at that number and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got 5,000 emails in here that I got to deal with. You're not looking at subject lines, right? The first thing you're looking at is you're actually looking at who is this email from, and you're scanning names. And then from there, you're then making the decision, okay, when I see an email from Robert, like, I know and I like Robert. It almost doesn't even matter what the subject line is. If I like him enough, I'm going to open that email anyways.
Right.
Or if I know that it's more of that marketing email or
so it's kind of like the mailbox. I go out to the mailbox, and it's like I get all this mail. It's like, oh my goodness, this one's this one's from Ashley Furniture, and I know I want to have a love seat or something like that. So I'm into that. And then this other one is from Joe's Tire Tax or something like that. It ends up going somewhere else, right? That's kind of like what you're saying.
Yes, your sender name is more important than your subject line. And so I always, one of the first A/B tests that I run for a lot of our clients is actually different versions of sender names, because I want to see how much of the engagement can I kind of play with by sending out different versions of the sender name. The other thing is you can also use it pretty effectively to recapture information. So if you've been sending out your emails from the same sender name for a while, just by changing it slightly, now all of a sudden, as somebody's scanning their inbox, they're like, wait a second, something's different about that email. Something's off, if you will, and it captures their attention, and they're more likely to open. So sender name, absolutely crucial.
Yeah. And speaking of subject line, the other thing too is sometimes I don't know. I feel, and maybe it's just me, I am sorry, I get emails that come in, and it's like they all cap everything, and I don't know why that's so annoying to me. It gets me to look at it, but I'm also annoyed by it, because for some reason, maybe I'm just old school in it, I feel like they're yelling at me for some reason. I mean, is that a thing of the past, or should we all be capitalizing every word in our email subject line?
Well, the marketer in me is going to say you got to test it, find out what works for your audience. So the marketer's not answer. It depends. But for me, I found that all caps subject lines typically get lower engagement, lower deliverability. Mailbox platforms don't typically enjoy that type of subject line. So I tend to stay away from those.
And the other one is, yeah, yeah, he brought up something that's really funny. Yeah, the exclamation marks. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it's watching like crazy cat videos. They sent like 5 exclamation marks. Open now. Or something like this with all of that. I mean, does that have any bearing on subject lines as well, or is it just one of those things? Just keep it really clean and simple and understandable.
Yeah, I prefer to keep mine really clean and simple, understandable. There are opportunities for more showiness or flashiness, if you will, but kind of that kind of ties back into the part two of that answer of what's the most important part of the email.
Hmm.
And this one's a little harder to quantify, but it's what I would call relevance. People unsubscribe from emails not because they don't like the content, not because you didn't write it in a specific copywriting framework or because your subject line was annoying. They're unsubscribing because that content isn't relevant to them, right? And so we spend a lot of time segmenting lists so that we can send emails that are highly relevant to audiences, so we can lower that unsubscribe and increase that engagement. But part of being relevant is using good subject lines that indicate relevance, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness, definitely. Which again, going to relevance, which leads to another thing. And, a lot of people ask me, how do I know, if my I'm like, well, are you making money? I guess I don't know. I guess that's one way to know. But it's like, for all the ones that are not call to action, how do I know if my email's working? Some people say, oh, 4% is a great open rate. Some people say 30% is a great open rate. Some people say, you know, oh, they opted into this, or they read every other one of your emails, or they read it's just like, oh my goodness. I again, it's like kind of like a just a crazy question. Again, it's like, what are the most important things for a business owner to look at when they're doing email marketing? Because it just seems like, maybe it's the marketer's answer, right? It depends. But, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's such a good question. Again, so I really categorize that kind of into three buckets. So the first bucket is going to be growth. Is your email list growing, right?
Yeah.
You want more subscribers coming in than subscribers who are bouncing or unsubscribing, right? So that's going to be kind of that one of that true north metrics, if you will. The second bucket that I would categorize in is engagement, right? And so one of the few segments that we'll set up when we're first working with a client is actually recency of engagement. So we'll
Mm.
look at who's opened an email, who's clicked on a link, who's replied in the last 0 to 8 days, 9 to 30, and then 31 to 60. And we want to keep as many people in the 0 to 8 or 9 to 30 bucket as possible. And so we measure that week over week over week to make sure that we're either growing that number, that we're growing that number bigger. And if it's ever decreasing, then we know that there's a big problem. So, recency of engagement is another big one. And then you hit the nail on the head. Are you making money from yes. Are you booking calls?
Yeah.
Are people responding and clicking on your call to actions and giving you money? Would be that third bucket of are your emails actually converting, right?
Yeah, that's interesting to me. And things never change in business, right? They never change. So no,
Right.
I'm just kidding. Because it leads me to another thing. I hear engagement, and then all of a sudden, one day I'm sitting there and someone's saying, "Oh, you need to re-engage. You need to re-engage. You need to do a re-engagement campaign." I'm like, "Well, they're disengaged. How do I re-engage someone who's disengaged? I mean, is there truly something called a re-engagement, campaign? Do I have to offer a toaster oven for them to come back on board?" It just is really interesting, to me. Um, you know what that means, and if it does matter, should I try a re-engagement campaign if I'm a business owner?
Yeah, and man, you were nailing these questions. You must ask a lot of questions for a living or something. Um, it's I've had that same thought of you have like the sunset flow or the re-engagement flow. And I've had that same thought of The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. You've already sent them 100 emails and they haven't opened them. How is sending more emails going to solve your problem, right?
Yeah.
And so my recommendation there, so it is important to have something like that in place. And so usually what we do off of those engagement groups or those engagement segments that I just talked about, when somebody doesn't open an email after 60 days, we do have an automated email flow that they go through. But just prior to that, we actually start reaching out to them on a secondary channel. So this is a little bit more of an advanced email marketing hack, if you will. But
Right.
in your welcome flow, so as soon as you get a new email in your CRM, in your platform, one of the very first emails that I send out is connect with me on some other channel. Now, for B2B businesses, LinkedIn is great. For B2C, Instagram is usually kind of the bigger one that we'll go after. But you want to choose, Facebook is another good option. You want to choose a platform that your audience is active on and that you can send them a direct message. Because as soon as they start to unengage, what we'll do is we'll build in some automation that either notifies you or notifies a member of your team, or if we can automate the message, we'll automate the message, but it actually pings them on that secondary channel that says, hey, I've been trying to send you an email, but it doesn't look like you're getting it. Is this still the right email for you?
Yeah.
We get a phenomenal response to that, and then boom, re-engaged. But you're exactly right. You are going to lose a larger percentage of your list by solely relying on that re-engagement piece via email. You really do need to use a secondary channel, social media, text messages, Facebook Messenger, things like that. What's that?
Yeah, I totally, find that fascinating and interesting and spot on. I mean, come at a different angle. What a great strategy. And then you're speaking of some other things that always seems to be out there, and that's why I think like in the entrepreneur community, you'd be like a godsend to a lot of these business owners, because these are the questions I keep fielding, and it'd be like, here, take it, Tyler, take it. But you know the question is like, with all these email platforms, from Keep to like Active Rain to Constant Contact to it, it- you know different platforms, in my opinion, do different things, and it depends on what your different needs are, and it's just like, sometimes you need a wheelbarrow, and sometimes you need a Mack truck, and sometimes you need a whole train, right? But tell us about some of the platforms that you work with, and maybe someone listening out here might say, hey, how do I make this platform work for my company?
Yeah, and that I do field that question a lot, as well as which is the best platform, and it's really hard because it's very business specific, right? It's kind of unique, and typically, I mean, for anybody in the audience who is asking that question, there's basically two criteria that I have it pass through. The first is, what are you going to use? Like, which one do you like, right? If you're going to use one because you prefer it over a quote unquote better or cheaper option, always go with the one that you're going to use, because it's the worst thing to pay for software and not use it and not leverage it, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and then the second piece is, how well does it integrate to your other pieces of software, right? It's always a pain if you get
Right.
started with something and it's now not only do you have to manage that piece of software, but then you also have to log into 6 other different softwares to pass the same information here and here and here and here. So I tend to encourage everyone to look for something that integrates nicely and plays nicely with other platforms. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches, right?
So those 80% of users who use WordPress, it better have a plugin that works with WordPress, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly, exactly.
you know,
Um,
and the last question I wanted to ask is, I think this is the one it really feels like, if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, and probably that movie at one time in your life, and there's the wizard who hides behind the curtain, and what that wizard is in email marketing is what makes an email spam versus not spam. And I think a lot of people are always like, I mean, but they're opening my email, so why is it going into spam? Is it the filter? Is it a, some email server thing? Is it Google just doesn't like me because I eat oatmeal in the morning? I mean, what
It's
is it?
definitely the oatmeal. It's definitely
Yeah,
the
it's definitely the oatmeal. It's like it's the oatmeal. It's the cowbell. Whatever it is. It's like what is it that or and maybe it really is just luck of the draw. I don't know. Is there anything that you help clients with to kind of figure out how do we make their email not just more relevant, but how do we make the email itself more credible?
Yeah. So a big piece of that, I mean, deliverability and inbox placement could be an hour
That's
long.
exactly what I was saying. Yeah, deliverability. That's what I meant to say. Thank you.
Yeah. No, you're good. I mean, that by itself, it's kind of a black box, and it could be an hour long segment itself. But because I nerd out over this stuff, I've spent hours pouring through Outlook's help documents and Gmail's help documents about how their filters work. And I can, at a very high level, engagement is one of the most crucial pieces, right? Yes, you can have more spammy words, right? Like if you're talking about Lamborghinis and making money and enhancements, it's more likely that you're going to go to spam. But if you can send to people who are engaging with you, I tend to think in terms of positive signals versus negative signals. If you're sending to users and subscribers that continue to give those positive signals like open rates, click-throughs, replies, things like that,
Yeah.
and send to those people, generally speaking, you're going to have a really good inboxing rate. Even if the rest, like your domain reputation and your IP reputation, is not great. I mean, one client that I'm working with right now, we're currently rehabbing their domain. They were actually on a couple of blacklists. And we're still working on getting their domain removed off of those blacklists, which basically, if you're on one of those, all of your emails are going to spam.
Wow.
But leveraging this idea of, well, we're gonna send to those who are giving us those positive signals. We right now are sending to about 30,000 people at a time, and we're able to get over 50% open rates, even though he's on a blacklist. But again, it's because we're sending highly relevant emails to those that are kind of feeding us those positive signals.
Wow. Yeah, that is great information. So, Tyler, can you believe it? I mean, the segment goes by just like that, does it not? Especially when you get to geek out. I mean, it's all about the geeking out. So again, I'm with Tyler Cook. He's an experienced email marketing expert and owner of Hypermedia Marketing. You can reach him at tyler@hypermediamarketing.net. I'm sure there's an opt-in to some type of email list there. So, go there and opt into his email list. I'm sure he sends out lots of good quality information, and he is all white hat, or however they call that, however they do that, or call him at 435-512-5728. He's a transplant from Utah, but he's making, the wonderful state of Arizona, that Maverick state, his home. Tyler, in addition to what I have scrolling across the screen right now, what other ways can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I try to be really active on LinkedIn, so you can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably one of the better places to go if you want really consistent content outside of email. Yeah, definitely check out the website. I have a guide on there that I'm going to be launching here soon. That's going to be revealing all of the ways to make sure that your emails get in the inbox. So stay tuned for that.
Well, you know what, Tyler, I really appreciate you on the show. I hope I served you well. Anyone who's out there, they need an email expert, please get Tyler. Believe me, it's much better having someone else do it for you than you doing it yourself. Plus, he can get on his geek on for you. So I'm sure he'll love that as well. Tyler, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Robert. It's been a blast.
Wow, that was great. I felt like I was getting my geek on as well. Again, I was with Tyler Cook. He's an experienced email marketing expert and owner of Hypermedia Marketing here in the great state of Arizona. And, I can't wait because I feel like this really leads us into our next guest. And I'm really happy that she's joining us today. And I just want to say hello, Shyla.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Doing really, really well. I know before the show we were talking about, who's going to go on first. Let's flip a coin, something like that. But I felt like that was a really great lead in to what you do for clients. Everyone, I'm with Shyla Bassey of Bassey Solutions LLC, and I have to say, Sun Devil, right there. She helps Yep, she helps clients create high quality experiences that are impactful as they are memorable. You can reach her at Shyla at BasseySolutions.com or call her at 520-909-7902. Again, that's 520-909-7902. So all those transcribers out there, get that information right. So how are you doing today?
I am blessed. I'm excited to be able to have an opportunity to connect and share today. So I can't complain.
Oh my goodness. I was reading over your profile, and you know we had our team come over and for the iEntrepreneur Network, and one of the questions are, when it comes to successful businesses, what is it that makes them so successful? And it's like, is it the innovation? Is it the invention doing something different? Is it automation? And all these things were coming out. Is it like, they have high valued products, they have the best marketing pitches, and at the end of the day, what it really comes down to, Warren Buffett says it's best, the best companies in the world are the ones that provide the greatest amount of satisfied customer experience. Shana, would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree. I believe that that's where loyalty is established, is in the experience that a customer has, because that's what creates raving fans. When they are happy about their experience, they're going to be more than happy to share with someone else. Hey, you got to go see this company. You got to go see this person because of the experience that I had. I want you to have the same. So I truly believe in that statement.
You know, and you and I both know it really, it starts with awareness, and awareness may create, prospects, but you also kind of want to go down the relationship tree, so to speak, prospects to customers, customers to clients, clients to members, or even up to the point that you said, raving fans. What role does the customer experience really play into getting people to the point of raving fans? And if you have raving fans, what do they actually do for you?
Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing about once you take a client through the experience, no matter your product or service, once they get to the end and they're happy, like I said, a raving fan, that means they're going to want to tell their family members. They're going to want to tell their coworkers. They're going to want to tell anyone that they hear that has the problem that your service or product has a solution for. And guess what? That takes away and keeps money in your pocket, meaning saving money from marketing dollars, because your clients are marketing your business more than you would need to pay someone else to do. And so that's the beauty in having a raving fan, is you automatically create your own lead system, your own referral network, because of the satisfaction of what you have provided. People are going to want to talk about it.
And it's really interesting to me because we were talking with Tyler Cook on earlier, and we were talking about, follow up, and email is great follow up. But in a way, another form of follow up is that raving fan, just like what you said. I mean, raving fans actually can, be your follow up as well, can't they?
I would absolutely say that they can. I think one of the best things, especially that I do in business, is if I have a client that shares, whether in a text message or in an email, something they're happy about with our services, I'll just put that into either an email or even just share it in a private group that I have with all of my clients, so that everyone can see and celebrate this experience. And it also creates a reminder that, man, I made a good decision as well, because wow, look what's happening for them. So it's a
Yeah.
great follow up and just another touch point to show this is possible for me too.
And I think that you're a lot like me just because I can feel it. You give me goosebumps when you talk because I just feel it. I mean it. And I've worked for corporations for a long, long time. And then one day I just woke up and I'm like, they suck. I know that sounds terrible. And I'm like, they're so about the profit, they forget about the people. And I had my own like hero's journey, let's say, into entrepreneurship where, it's like it was in my mind, it was in my mind, and it was in my mind. And then all of a sudden one day I woke up and I'm like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And it's like I want to provide, the stuff of service that I felt like our clients needed. Do you have a similar story like that, Shyla, where you just woke up one day and you're like, I'm mad as hell? And it's like, you know what? I know I can help, but where I'm at, I don't have the ability to deliver that help.
Ooh, man, this is my story. That is my journey. After navigating for me 12 years in the corporate space, I had got to a point, and truly a question that I asked myself, and I actually wrote it in my journal before I made my pivot, was, Shyla, are you chasing success or are
Hmm.
you chasing significance? And taking the time to truly answer that for myself at the time, Robert, I was like, I'm just on this ladder, I'm climbing, I'm chasing success. But what was for
Hmm.
me missing was fulfillment. So I took
Hmm.
a leap of faith on the notion that I knew that I had a greater purpose to serve that would allow me fulfillment, but also chasing significance. What's my purpose and how am I operating in that every single day? And so that is really my element of how I made that pivot from corporate America to taking the time to operate as a business owner and entrepreneur to serve a bigger audience with something that I'd say would fills my cup every single day, but also reminds me I'm walking in purpose. And you never
Yeah.
know until you take that leap of faith.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you jumped in. And, being able to meet you in person and being able to see you just jump right in with things that, I've put, like the Art of Connection book and, coming out to the women's event and showing positivity in LinkedIn and through Facebook, one of the things that I find out with you is, part of your process of that superior experience is I see that you actively engage and you really actively listen, and it seems like you're absorbing signs of like, I can help this person, or I can make a tweak here or a change there or a delivery, or whatnot. When did you start seeing these superpowers of observation in a way where it's just like I can help them communicate and deliver things at a higher level? Has this been something that's always been there, or is it something that was fine-tuned over time, or
Ooh,
both?
that's a great question. And if I'm honest, I believe that it's been something that I've had access to as a gift for a very long time. I think it was cultivated in my corporate career as I supported and developed so
Mhm.
many people across the country. And then I think it was highlighted as a gift and as I got a chance to shine as a business owner.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things about, and here's a question, because I get this question, as well. You know, for you, when you had a corporate hat on, life looked a certain way through your lenses. Now you get to put your entrepreneurial hat on and you get to see life, through a different lens. In addition to significance and purpose, what are some other ways, that life looks differently to you that makes you say, it's not what keeps me up at night anymore. It's like, what gets me up in the morning? What makes you live?
Yeah, ooh, that's so good. I would say there's a few things that I would share, but number one, the impact that I know when someone shares with me that I've had on their life, whether through the service
Mm,
that I've been able to provide them with, or even just sometimes the words that come out of my mouth that they may have needed in that conversation, and that keeps me up. That excites
mhm,
me in the morning because I never know who I'll have an opportunity to impact just by being who I am. And
mm.
that to me is fulfillment. That's purpose driven work for me. And sometimes it's connected to the product or service I have, but sometimes it's just connected to my presence. And I appreciate having that opportunity every
Yeah.
day. to be completely honest.
Yeah, I love that, and I say that, and I say it this manner, and I tell my team this. I said, you know what, it takes the people who get up in the morning to save the people who are kept up at night. And you know that you yourself have made the turn to where it's all of a sudden the excitement of getting up in the morning and helping people further their purpose is a sign that you're in the right direction. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely would. I always believe that. I say life is short. That's a fact. It's not just a statement, it's a fact. And I just recognize with the time that I have, I am living a purpose of I don't want to leave it with no wish I would have, could have, or should have. And so I
Yeah,
empower people to recognize the same thing. If you desire to do it, why not now?
yeah. Yeah, don't wait. And that's where it really comes to. I always say you have to have your heart set before you can work on your mindset. And
Mhm.
after you have your heart set and your mindset working, then you can start working on the skill sets that create your greatness. And
Absolutely.
and one of the things that you possibly work in maybe the hardest area that many people reside in, and that's the fear, of like money. That's the fear of like credit. That is the fear of, you know doing something differently when you need to, but you're so darn comfortable where you're at. It's like it's difficult to change. I mean, Shyla, how do you motivate people to make that change?
It's interesting because I always say I love to lead with education. And
Hmm.
by leading with education, I find that moves the needle for people because I'm educating on something that 98% of people never got an opportunity to learn about in elementary
Wow.
school, middle school, high school. So that here we are as adults. I always say we have to use this adult report card where it's like, wait a minute, no one told me the proper ingredients of what it took to get a shining A on this card, right? Our credit scores. And so
Right.
that's what keeps my clients motivated to be able to now, wow, Shyla, you've empowered me. Now I even know what goes into a score. And that's the thing. A lot of times, when people are coming to me, they're already needing the help. And
Hmm.
so it's a matter of there's no convincing on my part. It's a matter of are you ready to change your life and change your habits to prevent where you are right now to get you to where you want to be, whether that's buying a house, buying a
Hmm.
car, getting a better job, saving money, right? It just opens the door for so many things.
Oh my God, absolutely. And I have always said, even at times in my own life, you know, opening up your financial world is like someone coming into your home and looking in your sock drawer. You know, no one wants to show the mess, do they?
They don't. And it can be uncomfortable. It can be something that any of us have shame about if we haven't properly managed our finances. But I believe that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always an opportunity to turn something around, right? We always say when it rains, yes, it may pour, but guess what? The sun does come back up. And that's the same thing with our finances. When we have hope and belief, really more than anything, that you can change anything you put your mind to, and your finances is also one of them.
And when it comes to that, one of my favorite one of my favorite words is belief. One of my other favorite words is having the faith. You know, um, you know, faith is in something and belief is in self. And if you can have both, or you can provide both, you can create a lot of velocity, you can create a lot of speed, and you can get people to the place where they need to be. What role does both faith and belief have in your business?
Ooh, I could go two separate ways with this, Robert, but I will say
Okay. Now don't trick us now.
no, I would just say the role that faith and belief has in my business starts with my foundation.
Mm,
Because of my belief and my faith in my journey and in my ability to impact others, that lays the foundation for the hope that I give and breathe into people.
mm,
Now, faith and belief when it comes to the clients that I help, um, it's also a matter of helping them believe that the process is possible for them. That
yeah.
whether if they're goals purchasing a home, that it's possible. So you've got to have the faith. You've got to believe and trust in the process. that you're worthy of the goal. You're worthy of the outcome once you get there. So it plays a role in my foundation. That's what keeps me solid. But also, I got to help clients see the same thing, no matter what their goal is when they get to the end.
And that brings up something else that I want to talk about. You know, we hear this definition of ideal client, and I can ask, who is your ideal client? What does your ideal client look like? But I also think another question, phrasing it or framing it differently is, in a way, do you pick your clients or do they pick you, or somehow is it almost a joint venture when that relationship starts?
Ooh, I would say, to be honest, it's kind of a joint venture. I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of clients seek me because of what I can provide. But a lot of times I always say every client, you may or may not need the service that I offer, but I want to provide you your options. And if your option looks like it makes sense for us to work together, then we do. Meaning I like to empower clients. Sometimes there are simple things that they can do on their own. And I feel like the best way to change a habit is for us to take action ourselves. And so when I say it's a joint venture. Clients find
Hmm.
me, I find them, and when we work together, that's where a lot of times I don't have to do a lot of marketing because my clients are telling other people about me. So it makes it
um,
makes it very much so worth it.
you know, and and for people that are out there listening, like it or not, in many ways, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, someone who's maybe financing for that first home, you know, we are in a certain respect, we are in a very much a credit based society, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
you know in a part of the in a part of that is sitting down with clients and sometimes saying you have to pause, you have to hold on, let me help you meet some benchmarks or measurements, because it's not always about the right now, is it, Shyla? It's also about maybe building them up, so when they get to the point of pulling the trigger, they're in a better position to negotiate for their best interest. I mean, wouldn't that be true?
I would say absolutely. Absolutely, for a few reasons. I think for us as humans, we easily can self sabotage anything
Mm.
the fastest. Whether our,
Right.
but more so talking about even credit, right? If client can be on the right track and make a decision, even though they know it's not the right thing for their credit, and still do it. And
Yeah.
so, I would absolutely agree with that.
You know, and one more thing I always want to know is, I'm sure that you work with, parents of families, you know, and I know your heart. I've seen you a lot. How much pleasure does it give you to really help families with, being financially illiterate? As I say that, I can't say it. What am I saying? Financially illiterate. I mean, how much satisfaction does it give you, for the parents and the children to help them become more financial literate so they can work on their own financial home?
I mean, that's the key to the fulfillment for me. I
Yeah.
think about where does generational wealth begin, and it begins with the household and the family. And
Yeah.
for parents who are learning new concepts, guess what? Their parents didn't know. So now that those
Mm.
that take advantage of the knowledge, now that they can share it with their children, now they're already setting their children up for success financially that they may not have had, or their parents may not have had. So that's where the fulfillment comes from. One seed
Mm.
planted, I mean, that can grow on forever, forever, especially when it comes to the right money and financial mindset.
Oh man, absolutely. And I also know that you recently launched a book as a co-author. Tell us a little bit about that book and what resonated with you to be a part of that book.
Yeah, so it's super, super grateful. It's a book titled Building Me While I'm Building It. And in this book, there's a variety of segments, but one of the things that pulled me towards it was to have the opportunity to talk about belief in my journey
Mm.
building business, or my belief in my journey and what role does that play and how I move forward and how I see myself. And so, because so much of my life journey has been a matter of leaps of faith. That's why I was drawn into, I got to share my story. I got to share my story, at least a piece of my story, I should better say, to empower and inspire people that with the right mindset, belief can take you a long way. If you believe in yourself, you can do it. If you don't, it's going to be hard. So that's what pulled me into that, and super grateful to have the opportunity to share that.
Yeah, and there we, back to the leaps of faith and having belief, and I tell you what, if you have that on your side, if that's on your side, if that's in your toolkit, I mean, my goodness, how much more confident do you become? So at the end of our segment, we're just coming right to the end, of it, and one of the things I wanted to ask you is, in your growth, because you've had an incredible entrepreneurial journey, and leaving corporation from 12 months, creating a concierge of services for people to establish a better financial house, especially through the credit side. What does the next 3 to 5 years look like for Shyla Bassey?
Oh, that's such an important question. I think the next 3 to 5 years for me looks like creating systems and solutions that can really impact households all over the country in an affordable way, that is something that can be passed down so that more households are not impacted by having to pay more for the simple things. That's one thing I see over for the next 3 to 5 years of my life.
And that's what you do. That's absolutely what your gift and what your legacy is for others. And what legacy are you creating for you?
Yeah, I would say one of the things I live by, Robert, is to just simply let my light shine. And as my father's only child, the only Bassey, I should say, here in the States, my legacy is going to truly look like empowering people to live the life that they desire and deserve without limits, and not feeling like they have to wait for a certain time period to attain that. We're all deserving.
Wow, I couldn't agree with you anymore. Everyone, I am here with Shyla Bassey of Bassey Solutions LLC. She helps clients create high-quality experiences. They're impactful as they are memorable, providing the world's best, credit solution services. I mean, by far, please. I mean, faith, belief, love. She has it all there. You can reach her at Shyla at BasseySolutions.com. That's Shyla, SHYLA, at BasseySolutions.com, or call her at 520-909-7902. Again, that's 520-909-7902. Shyla, are there any other ways that we can find you online or in person?
Yeah, so I am at Bassey Solutions on all social media channels: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Happy to connect and share. I share a lot of value on each of those. So those are a few other places that I can be found.
Awesome so much. Shyla, thank you so much for being on the show today and giving of your time. I appreciate you, and I say that we should do this again sometime.
I would agree. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, you're welcome. Well, again, I had two powerhouse people on the show today, Shyla Bassey of Bassey Solutions LLC, and also Tyler Cook with Hyper Media. Oh my goodness, Hyper Media Marketing. Sorry, Tyler, about that. But, so happy for them both being on today. Remember, we can be reached here each and every week, every Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30 Arizona time. Right now, we are aligned with the Pacific Coast of California. So please come here. If you'd like to be on the show, please reach out to me at robert@networktogether.net. That's robert@networktogether.net. Or you can give me a call. I'll put my number out there at 480-299-0088. I hope everyone is having a very successful week, and I look forward to seeing you next 30 at the same time in the same place. Thank you, everyone.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.